Hello guys, welcome to another session on sociology. So this is answer writing session. So here I'll be taking up a question from paper one, a very simple one, and then we will try to answer the question and try to add all the possible thinkers and the content which is required for exam. Okay, so here is the question. I'll share the screen and then we can discuss the answer for that. So see guys, the question is very simple from paper one, chapter one itself. Is sociology common sense? Right? Give reasons in support of your argument. So you will get statements like sociology is nothing more than common sense. Sociology is much more than common sense. Discuss, critically analyze, etc. All these are similar, and the structure for all should be something like this. So what you need to do is you need to define what is common sense. You need to define what is sociology. You need to see the similarities. You need to discuss the differences, and then creation of common sense and what is that mutual aspect, right? The connection, and then we will be concluding. So this is how the structure of your answer should look like. Okay. So now here, what I can do is I can give you an introduction, and then I'll give you a proper conclusion, and I'll give you the body in which you need to, the contents that you need to add, I'll discuss in points so that in case if you are missing something, that you can update your notes. Guys, this is a revision session, so remember and take it accordingly. Now, why this debate? Why this question is? That's the fundamental thing that you need to answer in the introduction, right? See, this question of whether sociology is similar to common sense. In fact, it's there in the minds of intellectuals and among the students and among the scholars also, even among the common people also. Why? To start this, to explain this, the context, you need to start with the emergence of sociology. Just one line. Sociology emerged in response to challenges posed before modernity in medieval Europe. And then you say what the initial sociologists wanted to do. You know that very well. They wanted to make it similar to natural science and other things you can write. And then over a period of time, it has been realized, it has been seen that what sociology study is quite obvious, right? Like sociology study about family, religion, and all these things are already rooted in the minds of the people. So people mistakenly started believing that sociology is nothing more than common sense, right? Sociology is nothing but the application of common sense. So that's actually the context of this debate. See guys, if you look at this on the surface, both sociology and common sense deal with understanding society and human behavior. So it looks similar. But if you look at a deeper analysis, that in fact will reveal that there is a critical distinction in terms of the methodologies, in terms of foundations, in terms of objectives and everything. So when you're answering this question, you need to critically evaluate the similarities, the differences, and the interconnection between sociology and common sense. We will also look at certain sociological perspectives. You can bring in sociological thinkers. You can also talk about sociological theories here. So that the way you will be giving a well-rounded and thoughtful answer for this particular question. Right? Don't simply write an answer just like a common sense or a GS answer. So let's first define what is common sense. See, common sense is something which everyday knowledge that individuals and community rely upon to navigate their lives. This is something which everybody know. This is something which is rooted in the minds of people, and it's often rooted in tradition, uncritical assumptions, and societal norms. Right? These are not questioned, right? So you can talk about thinkers also. Max Weber defines common sense as routine knowledge about everyday activities and world. I hope this is there in your note. You can write this. You can also talk about Alfred Schutz, elaborate that common sense is an organized, taken for granted stock of knowledge that is rarely questioned or critically examined. So commonsensical knowledge tend to be assumed to be true, and it's not questioned. Right? So common sense is typically derived from limited personal observation and serves certain practical purposes like solving immediate problems or satisfying that curiosity. But when it comes to sociology, in simple terms, I can say this is based on evidence, this is based on reason, this is based on logic, this is based on proper studies, making theories and everything, testing, reliability, validity, and all these things are questioned here. So sociology is a scientific discipline that systematically study the human behavior, social relationships, and institutions. Unlike common sense, sociology employs rigorous methods, various methods, and you can give examples also to analyze any societal phenomena. You can talk about Durkheim studies, you can talk about Weber studies, or any for that matter you can take up and you can explain here. Anthony Giddens, in fact, emphasizes that sociology enables analytical understanding of both individual and collective behavior, transcending mere assumptions. So this is directly connection with common sense, right? There you're talking about simply assumptions. So here you're talking about it's much more than assumptions. And it involves satisfying the curiosity and addressing practical needs, but with an aim to establish generalizable, evidence-based insights about society, which means a proper theoretical orientation, which is tested, which is based on evidence, which is based on reason, which is based on logic and everything, right? And the reliability, validity, and all those things are questioned and analyzed also. So you made a difference now between sociology and common sense. Now let's talk about similarities between these two. What are the intersection of the subjects? See, both sociology and common sense address social relationship, institutions, and everyday interactions. Right? For example, if you see common sense often aligns with sociological insights. For example, give a dog a bad name and it will be blamed for many things. Right? That mirrors Howard Becker's labeling theory, which explains how societal labels influence behavior. Correct? That labeling theory that you can bring in here, right? That example clear. These are very common things, guys. That's why I'm not discussing too much. These are questions and answers which is pre-prepared. So every mentor will teach you the same things only. So there is no point in too much of explanations of this. Now, what are the common ground in initial observation? Common sense often serves as a raw material for sociological investigation. From where you start the investigation, that's from the commonsensical knowledge. Anthony Giddens, you can write, note that sociological findings sometimes become ingrained in common sense, such as the idea that marriage is risky venture due to rising divorce rates. Okay, now there are many similarities and other things. Check out the PDF which I've given in the description. You can download it for free of cost. Everything is mentioned over there. So the important points is what I'm taking up here. Okay, now let's talk about the difference between sociology and common sense in terms of scientific approach. I'll be adding the thinkers also, right? So that you will be getting some more value when you're attending the session, and I'm doing justice to your time that you're spending with me. So the scientific approach, if you see, sociology relies on systematic methods and empirical evidence. If you see common sense, it's based on unverified assumptions. Talk about Peter Berger. He describes sociology's debunking attitude, which questions taken for granted truths upheld by common sense. Okay, then talk about objectivity versus value-laden assumptions or subjectivity. Sociology strives for objectivity. On the other side, when you talk about common sense, is heavily influenced by cultural values and stereotypes. Here you can bring in Margaret Mead. Write down if you don't have it. Margaret Mead's study of Papua New Guinea, that tribes challenge the common sense notions of fixed gender roles and reveal significant variations in gender norms. I'm assuming that you know the study. It's a very important study of Papua New Guinea tribes by Margaret Mead. We are using it in different areas also. Right? So that's actually questions that fix gender roles. Now, coming to critical examination of structures. See, sociology critically examines social structure, power dynamics, and inequalities. But common sense try to reinforce the status quo. Even in sociology, also, if you see functionalist perspective, will try to reinforce that. But normally, we critically examines all these, right? And you can talk about from different chapters, how inequalities we understand, how power dynamics we understand, how societal structure we understand. Emile Durkheim study of suicide, if you see. As an example, you can write here. Guys, the examples that I'm giving is perfectly crafted for that particular point. So if it is not there in your note, it's your responsibility to take it down, at least the name, and then you go back and refer that and update your notes. So his study of suicide refuted the common belief that suicide increased only during economic recessions, right? And it's highlighted, its rise during periods of prosperity due to individualism and isolation. Just need to mention about the theory because you can interpret the theory in any way because you have studied the theory. I'm assuming that you know the theory very well. So that won't be a big problem for you. Then comes to cultural specificity. Common sense varies across cultures and era. Sociology seeks universal pattern, right? Different culture, different time period, different society, the commonsensical understanding and interpretations of some phenomena will vary. But sociology will try to see things in a universal perspective. If you want to, for instance, if you see common sense in one culture may regard poverty as a divine punishment, but sociology explains it through structural inequalities and economic system. There is no divine punishment or anything. Poverty is not because of divine punishment. It's because of structural inequalities, and it is because of the economic system. So again, if you look at the context, sociology explores the context and underlying cause of phenomena. But if you look at common sense, they focus on surface level observations only. not looking into the context or underlying course or anything. Here you can talk about Andre Bethe. I don't think that this might be there in your notes, so you can take it down. Andre Bethe criticized. See, it's not necessary that you need to write these thinkers. Whoever comes in your mind to explain this particular point, you can write that. So I'm giving this. But some other mentors might have given you something else. So if that is there in your note, that one is enough. You don't want to keep on adding more. For one point, one thinker is enough. Okay, so Andre Bethe criticized common sense interpretations of caste, emphasizing that sociological insights will reveal the deeper dynamics of power and privilege. And we have seen that clearly in paper 2. Correct. Now, let's talk about creation of common sense. Common sense is often shaped by dominant ideologies that perpetuate societal norms. Correct? Your common sense, your understanding and everything. In fact, what if I tell you that it is shaped by the dominant ideology and it is actually perpetuated by the societal norms? Yes, it's true. Again, if you look at Antonio Gramsci, he explained that common sense serves as a tool for cultural hegemony. So these concepts, I hope you know that very well. That's why I'm only referring to that cultural hegemony, Antonio Gramsci, and all these are very important. And this reinforces the existing power structures. For example, the belief that hard work alone ensures success obscure the systemic inequality based on class, race, gender, justifying capitalism as a fair system. No, hard work alone will not do. When we talk about mobility, social mobility, we always talk about class system as open system, but still we discuss theoretically class system is open, but practically there are a lot of hindrances in terms of other aspects also. You're born for a poor parent, the chances that you can get that mobility because you don't have that someone who's born for a rich parent starting the race, even if it is a 100-meter race, he's starting 50-meter ahead of you. You are 50-meter back of him. So the chances that you reach the winning or the end point or he reach the end point is different entirely. The odds in favor of you, who's born for a poor parent, is very less. Similarly, when you're preparing for the exam also, you get all the resources and the teachers and the best mentors, the personal guidance and everything, right? So it all depends on many other aspects. You talk about mobility, you talk about class system, open system, fair system, capitalism, fair system. No. Okay, so this form of common sense aligns with the interest of dominant group and in fact prevent critical scrutiny of the existing societal structures. So what I want to tell you in conclusion is sociology and common sense, if you see, they have similarities, they have differences, they intersect, but fundamentally they differ in terms of their approach and in terms of their scope. We can talk about Durkheim, we can talk about A.M. Shah, we can talk about Ronald Fletcher. I'll be talking about Ronald Fletcher in The Making of Sociology. He described common sense as science of embryo. Sociology refines and critiques common sense, transforming it into systematic knowledge. Correct? So all these, I'm assuming that you know this. So again, the contrast is evident in Durkheim's study of suicide, which we already discussed. In fact, that study refuted simplistic commonsensical view about suicide. A.M. Shah's finding on joint families in Gujarat, which debunked assumptions of their decline. You know about it. See, guys, why I'm taking these studies is because these are classic studies, these are classic examples, and these are things you already studied in different contexts. So it's very easy for you to use it here. So I just need to refer it, assuming that you already know that. When we talk about family, household, and everything, A.M. Shah automatically come. Right? Ronald Fletcher, in other contexts, it will come. Durkheim, you know anyway. So see, the thing is that common sense offers intuitive understanding, but sociology provides a deeper evidence-based, logic-based, universal theoretical analysis that challenges uncritical assumptions. So the relationship between the two, in fact, is complementary. It's not contradictory. Sociology refines, corrects, and advances the insights that common sense, often taken for granted. So that's how you need to conclude. Don't tell that superiority or inferiority of anything. There is no question of relative superiority or inferiority. We can say both are complementary rather than contradictory. So that's how you'll be concluding. I hope I have done justice to the time that you have spent and you got some valuable points which you might have missed in your notes. So that's about this session, guys. If you like the video, share it with your friends also. And if you're looking for any mentorship on sociology or test series or the course, check out the details in the description and get in touch with us. See you in the next session.